welcome to my art studio. This is Cheryl, and this video is a tutorial video for beginning watercolor artists, and you don't have to have any special talents. This is a step-by-step video, very simple and easy to do. You don't even need to know how to draw. So watch the video, and at some point I'm going to announce how you can win. One lucky winner will win the 2 cards that are featured in this video. I have 2 of them, and they come with envelopes. So during the video, I'm going to announce what you need to do to enter the drawing, and it will be a random drawing, and at some point in the video I will announce what you need to do to enter. So enjoy the video. I hope this helps some of you beginners out there on how to use your watercolors. They do not have to be professional watercolors. Just get yourself started, and this is a very simple project for you. So let's have some fun. So I'm starting off with some Fabriano 100% cotton hot pressed watercolor paper. It's 140-pound paper, and it's made specially for watercolor. It's a block. However, I took it off the block because what I did was, this is a 5x7, and I wanted to cut it in half, because I'm going to use half of each for 2 cards. I'm going to do 2 cards, and they're going to be the same. So I cut the paper in half, and I started out with 2 pieces. I transferred my design with graphite paper, and I used some tracing paper, and I'm getting ready to paint one of them. I took some washi tape and taped it to a hard surface, and that will allow the watercolor paper to stay nice and flat when I'm working on it. So this is a beginner tutorial, and it's going to be very simple, and you don't need very many skills to do this. And I will post up my COVID Christmas card design on my Patreon page, which will be free to anyone. You are free to use them for your own personal use. So this pattern will be on my Patreon page, which is very small right now. I just started it. There's not much up there, but this will be there, and you can download that for free. So you don't even need to have drawing skills. Excuse me. Let me get my tea. So what we're going to do is some simple washes, and I will show you how that's done. It's a beginner tutorial again, and you don't need to have any skills for this. So what I have is a number 10 round brush. Mine is from Royal Langnickel, and it's a clear handled brush. You can get these in Michael's. I'll put the description of the product down below. And I also have a number 3 round brush. I will probably be using my 20-0 liner from Princeton, and again, you don't need to have any particular skills to do this, and you can create fantastic Christmas cards. And since this is 2020 and we're gearing up for another round of COVID around here, I live in New York, and everything's the schools are starting to shut down in the city, and we're gearing up for another round of the COVID virus. So with that said, I designed my COVID Santa wearing his mask. So let's get busy. So first of all, what I want to do is I want to take my water and get my brush somewhat wet. And I don't want to do this. I want to do this so that the paper is just moistened. We don't want to flow a lot of water in here, and just keep your water, your brush, inside the lines, and I'm going to do the hat here, and I'm just moistening the paper. Just enough. And if you stay within the lines, it's like coloring, and don't go out the lines, your watercolor will stay within the wet areas. So now my hat is moist, and I'm going to do him his Santa hat in red, and I took a little bit of water and just a little bit of paint and just moisten my brush with a little bit of paint, and then go right on in and follow your water lines and just do a simple spreading of the paint. Simple. Anyone can do this. This is like coloring in a coloring book. So stay within your lines and you're good. Now that wasn't hard. Simple. Spread it out and you're good. So now I'm going to do his Santa suit in the same way, and I want to do a wash down the bottom. I don't want it to go all the way down. So I'm going to put a little bit of water here, and I'm going to spread it out. I have a little bit of paint left in my brush, but that's okay. And I just want this to come down just a little bit, not too far. Put a little paint on your brush, not much, and just tap it in at the top. And let the water do the work. Let the water spread it out. You can rinse out your brush, get the paint out, and you can help it along a little bit. Now what I'm going to do is going to take some water in my brush, and I'm just going to moisten this area down below and let the paint fade out. Rinse my brush out and do the same thing. Just fade it out. And I want this area not to be too dark because I want my words to stand out at the bottom. So just moisten and let the paint do the work. See how that fades out from the top to the bottom. Super simple. So now we have to let that dry a little bit, so we don't want to go in those areas because it will cause the paint to bleed into the other areas where we don't want it to go. So what I'll do is I'm going to work on his Santa's eyes. I'm going to take my smaller brush, moisten it, get a little bit, and Santa always has blue eyes. Take some blue paint, not so much, and we'll start painting in Santa's eyes. And still, same way, just let it flow natural in with the water. Let the water do the work. Simple. Okay, let that dry. And to facilitate things, I'll go blow dry it. And take your water and blend it out. Just giving him a little bit of color to his hair. Okay, so now let's do the same thing with the beard, but now remember I've got the COVID sign here and I don't want that to be obliterated by paint, so I want to go very lightly. So for now we're just going to wash some water in with, I'm using my smaller brush at the moment. Stay in your lines and just wet the paper. And now I'm going to do the same thing I did with his suit. I want to go darker under the mask and just let the water do the job. Let the water flow. And just make beard strokes. Now, at the bottom, I want this to be more washed out. I'm gonna go dry this and we'll be back. So that wasn't hard. So now, what I want to do, I'm going to give Santa's face a little bit of color. So I'm going to do the same thing. This is just basing in some colors. His eyelids. And I'm not really concerned with the white areas in between. Don't worry about it. It's going to look fantastic when you're done. So I got my area moistened, and I'm going to take a little bit of this buff color but what I want to do is I want to make it nice and light. So the lighter the color will require additional water, thinning out the paint. So now Santa's face has some color. Let that dry. Now for the fur. For now, what I want to do is I want to put a tiny bit of blue in the fur. And same way, just give it a coat of water. I'll do that first. And I want to very lightly, so a lot of water to thin the paint out. And I'm just tapping in and letting the water do the work. If you want to lift some color out, use your brush, lift it out. Let it absorb the color. And pick it right up, rinse your brush out, dry your brush off, and pick it up. And of course I want to blend it out down here. Okay, now I'm going to do the same thing with the hat. Okay, a little bit of color, not much. And tap it in. Lift, dry off. Super simple. Okay, now I want to give his beard a little bit of design, so I'm going to use a little bit less water in the gray and just put some shading in. Where his curls would be. Adding a little bit of texture and shading at the same time. Okay, so let that dry. Oh, I'm gonna fix this a little bit. So now we have most of the basing in done. I want to give the mask a little bit of folds so that they look natural. And I might do, let's see, what color? Just to give his nose. That's all, just a few little stripes. Okay, now let's do some shading on the hat. We're going to go a little bit darker by adding another layer. And that's how you work with this. The colors will be more vibrant as you layer them up. So, putting a little water on your brush and a little more red on the brush. We want to do the areas that would have shadow. So that would be like next to the hat. And once my brush, put a little water in, and I want to blend it out. See how I did that? Little red paint on my brush. Now this, I want this to be look like it's been folded over, so I put a little shadow here. And blend it out. See how that makes it come to life by adding the shadow work? Now we'll have a little more shadow in here underneath the collar. And again, rinse the brush. Blend it with the water. Rinse my brush, come back in with some water. Soften the edges and blend it out. If you need to lift some color, use your brush. And lift some of the color out. Do a little bit of texture work. Had some folds and wrinkles. always keeping in mind that you have light hitting things and you want that to appear in your work. So allow for light spaces where the light would hit. And that should do. Okay, super simple. Santa's ear needs some color. Let's give Santa's ear a little bit of color down here. Okay, now let's work on some shading on his face. Under his hair, where the shadow would be. And I want to use, this is called Kiss Kiss in the Jane Davenport color. And I'm using very little bit of paint. And I just want to shadow some of the features. Again, rinsing my brush, blending. Leaving the areas where the light would hit his face. Softening the edges. And we'll leave that to dry. So now for his bell on his hat, I'm going to use Spice. And I want this to be rather colorful, so I left the paint rather vibrant on my brush, meaning not as much water, and giving it a good base. Okay, now with the dove thinned out, I'm just going to give his hair a quick wash to blend all this together. And what I mean by wash is that the paint is very thinned out and it's mostly water, tiny bit of paint, and it just smooths it all out so it looks like it's all one. I have a lot on the brush, so I'm going to blend it out now. Keep in mind that you want your brush strokes to be very light, light-handed, otherwise your previous work will reactivate. So now I'm keeping it a little thicker under the mask because that's where it would be darkest, and just blending it down. And I lost some of my texture there on this side, probably because it wasn't quite dry enough. That's okay. We'll go back in with some more. Okay, so I blended that out. That's pretty much done. And his collar needs to have some work done to it, so just add some. This is just white watercolor, very thick on my brush, and I'm just tapping. Have a tiny hair. Okay, so that's all I'm going to do with this project. It's going to be super simple, easy for a beginner to do, and now the line work comes in. So here's the thing. If you're not good using a liner brush, you can use archival pens. So I have the Micron archival ink. You can get these in Michael's, and they are waterproof, but what you need to make sure is that your painting is absolutely dry or you'll ruin the pen nibs. So this is the pen that you would want to use if you do not want to do line work with a brush. And it will come out beautiful with both. So, that being said, I'm going to make sure my painting is dry. I'm going to blow dry it. And I'll show you with the pen. We'll go over. Okay, it looks perfect. So I think I'll just continue and okay, see it, so that works pretty nicely. So he has a little outline of his nose and some cheeks. So if you continue to do this with that pen, it would be perfectly fine. if you do it with a liner brush, I want to get my watercolor paint moist. That's how it looks. So it's not much of a difference. So you can try the liner brush, work on your skills with that. So while I'm doing the line work, let me tell you how you can enter for the free giveaway drawing. One lucky winner will receive the 2 cards that I created, the COVID Christmas cards. And what you need to do is like and subscribe to the channel and like the video, and then go to Art by Cheryl Ann, ANN.com. That's ARTCHERYLANN.com. And look at the products that are listed there, all my artwork pieces and my jewelry pieces, and click on the contact button at the top of my screen on my website and send me an email of the item that you like the best on my website. And that's it. Just let me know what your screen name is on YouTube and email me what you like on my website. And don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. And that's it. And I will be sending the 2 cards to one lucky winner. It will be random drawing, and I will get these to you before Christmas. So good luck with that. I hope you win, and thank you for watching my videos, and thank you for subscribing to my channel. And we'll draw a lucky winner before Christmas. The lighter the pressure, finer the line.